Seabird 198, one localizer established, descend dollar.
What's the steps on localizer with Alex 1?
Seabird 198, could you give me a wind check, please?
Showing 240.
This for the low wind. Another flow panel.
When manually open the valve. When manually open the valve. Yeah, push the throttle. Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's a pure Sweden. It's a pure Sweden. Or 8-stage grind going up there. Try to open it.
All right, my name is Steve Cole. I'm the flight engineer on this flight. I recently retired as a captain and am presently, I've retrained as a flight engineer. To give you the basics of the flight engineer's job and panel, and it won't be that technical. Being a captain, I can't get too technical. The engineer basically does all the mechanical, all the mechanical things on a flight. So starting up here, the control panel for the auxiliary power unit, which we call an APU, which provides power for the airplane when we're on the ground. The panel here is if we use a ground power unit, if our APU didn't work, this panel will control that. This part of the panel controls all the electrical power for the airplane. We have 4 generators, and it produces all the AC and DC power that we need. And all the switches and dials basically control it. Starting over here is how we control the pressurization within the airplane, so that we make sure that we're flying at the right altitude, that we have the right amount of pressure in the airplane for both takeoff and landing. These valves here control the air, basically the air coming from the engines, which we use in various places in the airplane to heat and cool. And up here we have a way to detect the temperature in all the compartments and a way to control the temperature in all the compartments to keep everything as comfortable as possible. If we have animals in various places, we want to keep them as warm as they need to be. If we're carrying a load of fresh fruit, let's say, or fish or flowers, which we often do, we may want to keep the temperature as low as we can to preserve them as long as possible, and we generally have no problem doing that. This part of the panel over here is all fire detection for the plane. The bottom part techs would detect any type of an overtemp or a fire in an engine, it would warn us as early as possible. The system up here and over here is fire detection for both the lower cargo compartments and the main deck cargo compartments. If we were to have any kind of a problem, we would get red lights there and some red lights up in the front that would tell us that we had a problem, and we would get the checklist out and we'd fix it. These lights here tell us whether the various doors in the airplane are open or closed, so that we make sure that we don't taxi out with any doors not closed. This is merely an electrical panel that maintenance uses equipment cooling, make sure that all the gauges and things in the cockpit stay at the right temperature. If we don't, this is the panel we hope we don't ever have to use, because it jettisons our fuel. So if we had to come back and make an emergency landing, we needed to get rid of a lot of fuel. By using all these switches, we would dump almost all the fuel we have out to lower our landing weights, lower our overall weight, so we can come back and land. I've never used that. I hope never to use that. A little system for refueling the plane from sitting up here. As long as they have the truck plugged in at the places underneath the wing, we could sit up here and we could direct where all the fuel goes. We don't often do that, but we could. And these are just indicator lights for gears and doors. And up here is an interesting gauge. It tells us the temperatures of the brakes. As you can see, the dials move up, and if we would like to stay in the green. If we get up in the yellow, that's just a cautionary, but we know that they'll cool down enough before we take off. If they were up in the red, we would be concerned. Moving over here to finish it up, this is the hydraulics for the airplane. We have 8 major hydraulic pumps that we use to raise and lower the landing gear, raise and lower the flaps, control the rudder, control the flight controls, and we control it all by this here. It's pretty much automatic. Once we turn it all on, it stays on. And as long as none of the lights come on after takeoff, we don't have to worry about it. Down here is the fuel, which is one of the major things that the engineer does. Is we have the main tanks, the center tank, the main inboards, the outboard tanks, and some reserve tanks. And based on all these, and using the boost pumps in the various tanks and the switches that control the manifold valves, it's the fuel between tanks and between engines. We worked throughout the whole flight to keep the fuel balanced left to right and forward to aft to keep the plane flying at the best angle. So we probably spend more time on this in flight than anything else. And over here we just have a small amount of engine gauges so we can kind of watch the oil temperature and the pressure and so on of the engines as we're flying. And that's about the engineer's panel.
Ground control, Dynasty 351, or West Cargo, pushing and starting.
And that 351, what was that call sign again?
It's Dynasty 351 Heavy.
Dynasty 351 Heavy, if they have ground advice, red taxi.
Yes, sir.
Okay, clear on the right. There. 13 steps are done. You ready to move there, Steve? I am, yeah. Position 1 with me real quick. 1, 2, and 3.
And
Okay, we'll be
you say 466? Okay, affirmative.
Turn 1.
Okay, and are you eastbound? Yeah.
320 on the fuel flow. airflow.
Very good job.
$3.15 on the field. Start cutoff.
Alright, so start. Clear on the left, you'll be taxiing the airplane, let me go ground and tell them we're coming out.
Dallas ground, Dynasty 351, heavy to taxi from the west cargo.
Flaps 10. 10-10, 8 breeze, 35 left. Take off that at anyone in airspeed. Yep.
130, 139, 153. We got takeoff max reduced. We're showing 107.6, I think is what we got on there. 100.6. There on the right.
Taxi checklist is...
Okay, left on Alpha, hold short at 36. 36 left.
Right here. Like we're good all the way across the
all the way across the bridge. Alright, switching to ground 2165.
Okay.
Before takeoff, checklist.
Before takeoff, radar transponder. Altimeters.
Check.
Landing and strobe lights. Body gear steering wheel.
Steering to go.
Alright. Already said I got the aircraft body gear steering disarmed. Tell them we're ready. Clocks are running.
360 ready for takeoff. Start your clocks before takeoff checklist.
Okay, brakes released. Set takeoff thrust. All throttles coming on.
Okay, set takeoff thrust.
Check. V1. VR. contact with 10,000 feet on this heading. Good. 3,000 feet.
And it.
Looking to speed 500 feet per minute.
Thank you.
Okay, 010 heading for American 1420. Eagle 745, turn right heading 080. 080 right heading 5745. Dynasty 351 heavy, gunning forward center, 132.02, good day. Okay, 132.02, good day. Contact. Forward, Dynasty 351 heavy out of 12,000 for 17,000 assigned. Dynasty 351 heavy forward center, climb maintain, photo 230, join the departure. I understand, climb maintain 230 to journey departure, and nav check here, we're showing crossing the 083 off of Quickman, but off of Maverick we're showing the radio has not moved. Can you confirm? Dynasty 351, no sir, you're west of Whitman, so it wouldn't be the 083 radio. Tell you what, we'll make it a little easier. Dynasty 351 heavy, clear direct Delta radar, rest reading unchanged. Okay, direct Delta radar, rest reading unchanged, thank you.
Number 4, we're going to check with 04.
Flying forward center, Cherokee 856 November, checking in at 8,000.
Cherokee 8566 November forward center, roger, good morning, Dallas South Tower 3031.
Good morning. There's only 55 miles out, so it's got to be fairly accurate. You were 30 miles out, you weren't showing any movement at all until I made the call, and it started stopping moving.
125.47, yes sir, 1502.
Good morning, Center, 1254, 200 for 230.
American 1254, forward center, roger, climb and maintain flow 330.
Up to 330, American 1254.
Who else call?
Yeah, I'm showing about 20 low.
Fort Worth, American 1062 out of 19-4, climbing to flight level 230.
Mississippi River, we're about to cross over, leaving the state of Louisiana and headed into Mississippi, and that pretty much is the border right there. We're just about crossing into Mississippi right now. My name is Captain Ken Evers. First officer with me today is Ron Eggleston, and the engineer who is in the back right now is Steve Cole. We're flying a Dynasty flight today. It's Dynasty 351. We're flying from Dallas, Texas to Atlanta, Georgia, with a continuation on to Anchorage. The airplane will probably at that point, I'm sure, go overseas. We got about another 45 minutes en route to Atlanta. The weather, as you can see, is clear. We're at flight level 290, and we're cruising at 0.84 Mach. The aircraft is being operated for one of our customers, which today is China Airlines. Thus we're flying with their call sign, which is the Dynasty call sign, versus at other times if we're flying for Lufthansa or British Air, we would fly under their call signs of Lufthansa or Speedbird. We're operating a 747-200 aircraft number 528 today. It's got CF6-50E2 engines on it, rated at approximately 51,800 pounds of thrust. Max altitude this airplane can get to is 45,100, so we're way below capability, but due to the fact that it's a short-range flight, we elected to go with the flight plan altitude from the dispatches of flight level 290 because the flight is so short. It's only an hour and 23-minute flight. As you can see from outside, it's very clear. We've got the radar turned up, but nothing showing on the returns. We are cruising at 0.835 Mach right now, trying to maintain as close to 0.84 Mach as we can. On our attitude indicator, as you can see, we're a level flight. We do have the autopilot B hooked up at this time, so it is maintaining the INS course which we have programmed. At present time, we're going direct to Meridian, which is in Mississippi, and then after Meridian, we'll be proceeding direct to LaGrange and then on into Atlanta. We're expecting the LaGrange 8 arrival into Atlanta, and we are presently talking to Memphis Center, and they will switch us over to Atlanta Center, at which time we'll start preparing for our descent, which will start in about 10 minutes from now. As we get to Meridian, we'll start running checklists and briefings to prepare us for our arrival into Atlanta Hartsfield Airport. We're anticipating landing to the east today, which will be probably onto either runway 9 left or 9 right, which will be close to the cargo area where we'll park the airplane so they can offload and unload the appropriate cargo. You can see we're cruising at flight level 290. This is our distance to Meridian at this time, showing about 85 miles out, and that also concurs with the INS, which is showing 83 miles, within a mile of one another. And we're showing time to Meridian at this time as 8 minutes, 0.6. So it's approximately 8.5 minutes. The first officer is flying the airplane, so his INS is set up on cross-track and cross-track error, which is telling us where we are in relation to the INS course that we're supposed to be on, which in this case, it's showing all zeros where we're actually on course, and the INS is compensating for drift and winds, etc. This is our horizontal situation indicator, HSI, which gives us heading and relationship to the course that we've got direct to Meridian as a backup for the INSs, which shows us basically on course, and the heading is compensating for the winds, which is pretty much predominantly a tailwind today of approximately 75 knots. So vertical velocity indicator, which shows us whether or not the airplane is going up or down, which you can see it's making small corrections with the elevator to keep us on altitude, basically showing 0. This is a metric altimeter, which would be used if we were in like Chinese airspace where they're requiring you to fly metric altitudes versus barometric altitudes. If we do not have the metric altimeter, which is a nice piece of equipment, then we would go to a chart which we've got in a book that converts barometric altitudes to metric altitudes. Then we would fly that particular barometric altitude to be on the metric altitude assigned by Chinese approach. And they're normally talking in meters, so it'd be, for instance, this metric altitude is 8,782 meters. Engine instruments, right now this is a Penny Giles aircraft. We have some that are instrumented this way. It's an electronic instrumentation, a little more accurate than the old round gauges which we have on most of our 200s. We do have a write-up on this airplane that the lighting is a little poor, so it may be hard to see, but it gives us digital readouts of all of the engines and how they're operating at this time. In this case, we've got N1 indicating, we've got EGT, we've got RPMs, and we've got fuel flows.
351 heavy 290 direct Meridian.
I'm just answering a radio call right now for a second.
Affirmative, direct Meridian.
Okay. So we're presently still proceeding direct to Meridian. We got about 6 minutes, 57 miles to go. As far as other instruments in the airplane, this is called the P10 panel for us in the 200. It basically is all the nav set up for approaches, frequencies that we use, whether or not we're in VOR or an ILS mode, or an INS mode or a VOR mode for navigation, frequencies for VORs and ILSs, courses. This is the auto throttle speed that the auto throttles are maintaining right now to maintain our 0.84 Mach. We do have the B autopilot connected because the first officer is flying. If I, as the captain, were flying, I would be on A autopilot, and the readouts to the ground would be all off of my instrumentation versus his. Our heading right now is 106. We're on INS, which is directing our navigation. We're at flight level 290 with the autopilot connected and altitude hold on. The aircraft is trying to maintain flight level 290. We do have the speed mode select switch off at this point. And of course, the first officer just basically is the same as me. We're both on 117.0, which is Meridian, which is where we're proceeding to. 47 miles to go, and we're both in the VOR mode at this time. We would be in the INS mode if for some reason we were outside of VOR range for DME and course information. Then we go to INS like on an over water. Once we lose our VOR capability, we switch to INS. We've got throttles. We have 2 INSs today. The third INS is inoperative, which is not a problem for us. We can operate with 2, which is what we're doing. We've got power levers right here, which are on autopilot right now. We have speed brake, we have flaps, gear handle, parking brake. These are our start controls. Right now running an idle. Of course, if we had a problem and had to shut an engine down for any reason, we would go to cutoff. We're not anticipating that. This is our autopilot control. This is our ILS frequency control. This is for transponder that's reading out our altitude to the guys on the ground, squawking a specific code. They're reading it, and that's telling us where we are and what altitude we're at, what our heading is, etc. We have radios, 2 Victor radios. We're operating Victor 1 right now. This is a COM panel, another COM panel to tell us what we want to monitor, which in this case we're monitoring Victor 1 and Victor 2 for guard frequency. This is our INS control head for number 3, which is inoperative today. So our ADF control head, second ADF control head. This is our radar. Right now we've got it tilted pretty much at 0 for Earth. Normal, which is giving us a normal scan. We operate normally in the 80 to 180 mile range. Today I'm operating 80. First officer is in 180 mile range. It's given us any weather readouts we have, which for today it's a clear day. We got some cirrus up high, but nothing else, so we're not painting any radar. This is our aileron trim, and this is our rudder trim. Other than that, pretty much explains it. Overhead, we've got a lot of the engine controls for the airplane. We've got our brakes, all of the hydraulic system, power units for spoilers, ailerons, elevators, rudders, etc. Anti-skid, we got body gear steering. All of our lights are up top. Got a standby compass. We also have a standby attitude indicator in case we did lose electrical power. We could go right to the standby attitude indicator. Or if we started getting a divergence between the first officer and myself as to what was actually level flight, we would both look to here. If this was level, we'd figure out which one of them was indicating the same as this, and that would be the one that was correct at that time, and that person would operate the airplane at that point. We've got circuit breakers overhead for numerous items on the airplane. We got fire T-handles in case we did have a fire on an engine and we did need to shut that engine down with the fire handle. We also have fire bottles that we could fire to the engines to put an agent inside to put the fire out. This is our INS control heads up here. Right now we're indicating in nav mode, which is where we are for flight. We also have some HF radios. Alternate flap extension panel, window heat, probe heaters. This is our icing for our engines and our wings over here. Right now everything is off. We have no anti-ice on because we're not flying in any conditions that require it. Window heat is always on for the airplane, and that pretty much covers the overhead panel. And of course the engineer's panel is behind us at this point, and he runs that panel. Unless there's any questions, we got about a minute before we hit Meridian. Things are going to get a little busy, so we'll talk to you on the ground if that's okay.
Just a little bit. We were here earlier coming down, and it was not too bad when we got over the clouds, so maybe it'll smooth out here a little bit.
Delta 519, contact Houston Center 12.
American 1380, A firm. We're on our way down to flight level 270.
American 1380, contact Atlanta Center 125.57.
2557, have a great day, American 1380.
Weather lights. Air off. Auto brakes. Minimum. HSI switches. V1.
VOR.
Flight director computer selected.
1258, Atlanta Center right.
Brake
Somebody
pressure.
Dynasty 351 Heavies with you, flight level 240.
Dynasty 351, my son, roger. Delta 280 up there.
Down to 5 now. 2550 at that point, Dynasty 351 Heavy.
242 Heavy, they should maintain 8,000. American 1380, turn right is 120.
120 on the heading, American 1380.
Yeah. 1380, the center maintain 14,700 from 14,000 Delta. Delta 430, expect runway 27 left. Delta 430. Channel 101.
Something here for me, slam dunk. Looks like it's on stay on out.
Okay, 095 down to 7,000, Dynasty 351.
1006 Heavy to still maintain 8,000. 8,000 Delta 1006 Heavy.
Alright. 095 on the heading, 7,000. I'm going to hook you up with the ILS.
Okay,
108.5.
Scanner 32, reduce speed to 220. 200, pretty knots, number 32. Delta 430, speed now 210, and turn left heading 010. Delta 430, 210 knots, 8.35, good day.
1835, good day.
Caleb 12 heading 180 speed. American 1380, turn left heading 290, do you see him?
Coming left 290, American 1380.
American 1380, can you see the airport?
We have the airport inside American 1380.
American 1380, reduce speed to 170, depot, clear visual approach 27 left.
The visual approach, 27 left, 170 to depot, American 1380.
Got 242, have 6.
Dynasty 351 Heavies with you.
Dynasty 351 Heavy, descend and maintain 3,500.
3,500.
Delta 280, turn left heading 300.
Probably off one. Set speed. Are you
American 1380, tower 119.1 at the mark. Good day.
Wilco, American 1380.
He is Delta 242 Heavy, turn left heading 300 to set localizer. 300, join localizer. Delta 364, you can be following Delta 727 East 10, 11 o'clock. It's 6 miles northwestbound right now. South of the final about 4 miles at 4,000. That's Channel 3. If you want heavy, maintain 3,500.
Dynasty 351 Heavy out of 65, 3,500.
Delta 280 tower, we'll turn left heading 360, reduce speed to 180.
180 at 360, Dynasty 351 Heavy.
Hey. 360 on the heading.
1006 Heavy, with you going to 5. 1006 Heavy, line approach, runway 27 left. Roger. Channel 32, descend and maintain 4,000. Down to 4,000, Channel 32. Delta 242 Heavy, tower 119.1 at depot. 42 Heavy.
We'll do that 400%.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, alright, where'd you be heading?
Dynasty 351 Heavy, you're following the heavy Boeing 767, 10 o'clock at 5 miles at 4,000, turn left heading 300.
Left at 300, we got traffic in sight.
Dynasty 351 Heavy, follow him, speed 170 to depot, clear visual approach, runway 27 left, caution lake turbulence.
170 to depot, Dynasty 351 Heavy.
Is that 170 on the speed?
Yeah.
Quickly?
Oh, that maniac there.
Delta 1006 Heavy, descend and maintain 3,500, you're following that heavy 747 at 10 o'clock. 2,500, we have inside Delta 1006 Heavy. Dynasty 351 Heavy, contact the tower 119.1 at the outer marker.
Okay, tower 119.1 at the outer marker, thank you.
Tower 1006.
Fly heading 255, 27 right, cleared for takeoff.
Okay, 255 heading, clear for takeoff, 27 right, cover. 4-5.
Camo 208, 27 right, taxi position hold.
27 right, position and hold, Camo 208.
I think.
That's the wind, but neither one of us on it, so.
274, cross 27 right, join Lima, ground point 75.
Cross 27 right, ground point 75, 1647.
American 1380, cross 27 right, join Lima, ground point 75.
Okay.
Landing checklist.
Landing checklist.
Here. Landing check. Relax. 30 and a green light. 30, 30, 8 green.
Speed brakes.
On.
Landing lights.
On.
Delta 200, middle mark, fighting 255, the wind is 3405, runway 27 right, cleared for takeoff.
27 right, cleared for takeoff, 255 at the marker, Delta 200.
Delta 1188, caution wake turbulence, 27 right, taxi position and hold. 27 right at Tango.
Upper Chandler 364.
Affirmative, turn right and hold short, 27 right at Tango.
Turn right, hold short at Tango, Chandler 364.
Dynasty 351 Heavy is depot.
Dynasty 351 Heavy, 27 left, clear to land, wind 3405.
Little land. Gear flaps. Everything's working perfect.
Thank you, sir.
A little scudley. A little, hey scum.
Traffic's holding in position.
Cross 27 right, Tango, join Lima, ground point 75.
Delta 200, contact departure.
I don't think you can do that. Europe doesn't expect it. Maybe States expect it to do that. Yeah, for sure.
Delta 242 Heavy, right turn, hold short 27 right at Tango.
42 Heavy, hold short 27 right at Tango.
Bunch of 290 at 5.
Delta 1188, middle mark, fighting 250, runway 27 right, cleared for takeoff, caution wake turbulence, 75 departing.
Okay, at the middle marker 250 and clear for takeoff 27 right, Delta 1188.
Delta 2138, 27 right, taxi position and hold.
27 right, position hold, Delta 2138.
Runway's clear.
Delta 1006 to the left.
Delta 1006 Heavy, Atlanta Tower, runway 27 left, clear to land, wind 3405, caution wake turbulence, 747, touching down.
Clear to land on the left, Delta 1006 Heavy.
Minimums.
And our guys inside landing.
100 feet, 50,
40, 30, 20, 10.
Man.
Delta 242 Heavy, cross runway 27 right, turn Lima, ground point 75, traffic's holding in position.
242 Heavy, cross 27 right.
Delta 1188, contact departure.
1188 for long 100 knots.
Dynasty 351 Heavy is rolled to you.
Dynasty 351 Heavy, roger, left turn off, taxi to the right.